got mail. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next hour or so, along with Spence.
Good morning. Happy 24
Good
degrees.
morning. Yeah.
Good
And Katie's here.
morning.
Good morning. Nick may still show up, but Gal is traveling today. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So,
Oh,
what's happening?
Well, the TikTok went to the Supreme Court and they said they still got to ban it. So we'll see. It's interesting because they brought up the point, like the biggest issue is like, well, we don't want any Chinese-owned apps accessible to the American people, and then TikTok's argument was like, well, if that's true, then why don't you ban Shein and Temu and all these other Chinese apps that have billions of
Yep.
dollars and millions of users? Why just us?
Well, there's an article about this, and I'm surprised, but it just shows that our politicians are not up to
no.
TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok has been pushing the platform's sister app, Lemon8, encouraging users to migrate via sponsored posts amid a looming ban in the last few weeks. Lemon8 has been promoting its app to TikTok users through sponsored TikTok videos. It automatically signs you in with your TikTok so you can still keep the same TikTok name and things like that. And it's supposed to transfer your followers over.
Oh boy.
Once
Yeah, I
you
have
once
a
you add
Lemon8.
Lemon8, it automatically pops up on your TikTok bio so that people can just click on it. So you know about that?
Yeah, I mean they've been promoting it hardcore in the app, and so I made one. And really, what it is, it's just TikTok's version of Instagram. That's what it looks like. Like it's more image centric than videos, but you can do videos at the same time. So uh really I don't know if TikTok does get banned, then I could see it picking up popularity. But yeah, a lot of people on TikTok made a Lemon8 account because a lot of people that use TikTok don't use because the competitors are YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, and a lot of people that use Instagram or TikTok don't necessarily want to use the other ones, or else they'd be on those apps. I have accounts kind of all over the place just because I run a business. So when this goes down, I'll s- I'll look at the Lemonade stuff, but I'll probably just upload stuff to Instagram because that's where we get forced to go.
Now
Well,
all of a sudden everybody loves Zuckerberg because he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. We'll fix it all. We'll fix it
yeah,
all."
right.
Well, no. Well, there's a lot more to this. That people are saying this is a psyop to get you to say, "Oh, he's changed. Everything is better now. He's
Yeah.
on our side," which is complete nonsense. He's just trying to save his skin.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and there was an article also that he decided that Facebook will no longer do fact checking.
yes.
I mean, he said that it was wrong to do it the last Trump.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
You actually caused an election, the results of an election to change. Oh, it was wrong. Sorry.
yeah.
We'll do it
Oh,
again.
yeah. Yep.
They're actually going to implement community notes too.
But there was also an article that was saying, Katie, that even if it's banned, people are still going to be able to use it. There are many, many loopholes there that
I don't know if that's true
I don't know.
because from
Well,
what I've heard is that legally the providers, the cell providers have
yeah.
to block TikTok. So if they block it, block access to it, and then the internet providers block access to it, how are you supposed to like you can open the app, sure, but you won't see anything. Like that I don't know how you'd get around that. And changing your VPN, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm changing my location to Canada and I'm changing my VPN. And I still don't think that gets around it because the providers are blocking it or are legally required to block it.
Mm.
Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, these are researchers that are saying that this is what will happen.
Yeah.
Did they ever revisit divesting it and having it purchased by a
I
US
think
company?
so. Otherwise, they wouldn't. I mean, they're still saying that
But
if
why didn't that happen? I mean, I
I don't,
Well,
realize it's a US subsidiary of their company.
I think so I've heard that that guy from Shark Tank is trying to buy it. I can't remember what his name is.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin something.
yeah, he publicly came out and he's like, "I want this. This is going to be my company." I think they don't wanna sell, and granted, I haven't watched anything. The only thing I get is, like, secondhand information from little videos. But I think TikTok is making a point of, like, this whole thing is BS. You're just trying to get a money grab from us, and we're not gonna put up with it. Like, I think they're I've saw that TikTok's trying to call the US government's bluff that so many people use TikTok and so many use it as an information source, that if it does go away, these politicians and these people that use it are gonna have access to their audience anymore. But who knows? This is above my pay grade.
It wasn't what's his name? Mark Cuban, was it?
No.
No,
No,
it
I think it
was
was Kevin.
yeah, Kevin something or other. Plus also there's another guy, Steve Munkin, who's interested in buying it. Now this is from
oh,
this is a while never mind because this is a long time ago.
And what's crazy is that they've come out and they've said, "We want TikTok's algorithm. We want their math behind how they uh the data behind how they approach their customers because TikTok algorithm is famous for putting what people want to see in front of them and then getting them to buy stuff that they genuinely want instead of like other companies pandering to the other businesses or whatever. Uh so it just seems like a ploy just to get access to their information because TikTok's not sharing.
That
I
you know what?
it's
You could really call TikTok a medical app because it literally drills holes into your subconscious and feeds stuff into it. You're
yeah.
like, oh, I'm looking at this great picture of this cat doing this thing, and in the background, something flashes, some subliminal thing happens. That's like, buy this. Amnon, do you remember the controversy in movie theaters years ago
oh,
about the
that was
subliminal
years and years
advertising? And
ago.
they would flash
Yeah.
something on the screen like popcorn or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole point is let's just call it what it is. It's not about the American public security because if
Nope.
the government was concerned about it, they would have banned all of these other apps that do the same thing. This is all about somebody up top is jealous and wants a piece of the TikTok pie and is using the US government to do it.
Very possible. Makes sense.
Let's start our own.
Yeah. Well, first we should steal TikTok's algorithm.
No problem. I'll get it this afternoon.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the thing they did not want to sell the algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz that's like their proprietary
Yep.
information and software and programming. And that's what everybody wants because they're so good at it.
Yep.
Is it written in Mandarin Chinese?
I don't know. They need to write it in their own language or whatever so that and make sure AI can't read it.
Mm.
Ooh. Hey, Amnon, we're get Steve Gibson to rewrite it for us.
You what?
Steve Gibson.
Yeah. What about
Just
him?
Mr. Machine Language to
Oh,
rewrite it for us.
no.
I mean,
Um,
it's old news, but it used to be really cool because he would come up with a program and he would strip away everything except the absolutely essential bits of it and not have fluff. Or he could take a program and shrink the size by
yeah,
75% and make it really super efficient. And but those days gone
yeah.
with
Katie's
all the
dad used to
drivers
do
and
the same
things.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
nobody's interested in creating efficiency anymore.
Do
It's
you
just
guys fly
quote.
American or Delta or both?
Neither. I fly Southwest.
I fly both.
Well,
Whatever the best price.
Delta Airlines has partnered with YouTube to provide ad-free YouTube Premium and YouTube Music to Sky Miles members on flights. The deal includes a selection of curated content from key YouTube creators. The airline also said it would upgrade its fleet with better Wi Fi and 4K HDR QLED displays, alongside AI driven enhancements like a personal assistant on the fly Delta app to improve travel experiences. These guys are doing anything. What was the thing? Who did the American partner with? Was it they also partnered with somebody to provide better Wi-Fi?
Oh yeah. Skylink?
I
No,
don't, I
I don't
don't,
know.
I don't remember. They did a few months ago. They were so these guys are trying to do whatever they can to uh, to make themselves unique. Let's put it this way, unique. So yeah, only we have that.
Yeah.
'Cause it's literally just a cattle car now when you fly. It is not the wonderment of flying is gone. It is getting loaded onto the plane with a bunch of people that you don't know who don't care if they're rude. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying a lot of people care about it. I know a lot of people who are just like me get aggravated by what happens on planes, but it's it's just not the same. It's a way to get somewhere, even on
Uh,
international flights. I mean, it's better because you actually get a hot meal, several hot meals, part of your coach ticket when
you
you fly
do?
overseas.
I
Yeah.
thought they stopped doing that.
No, only domestic flights.
Oh, okay.
They still, on international flights, they still provide meals. And you actually get real silverware.
Hmm.
Or actually, well, I shouldn't say that. Not
They
well.
can't.
They,
That's weapons.
they're using now. Well, usually you don't get a knife,
Oh,
but you can get now. They're getting wooden utensils, which are
huh.
actually pretty cool. It's like pressed bamboo, and you can still stab somebody. That's what I don't understand. You
Oh,
can still hurt
easy.
somebody bad with it, but
Easy. It's actually
yeah.
it's better. It doesn't bend like metal one.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well, all the vampires are boycotting because they got wooden stakes. It's danger for them.
But it's interesting what they're doing just to be what they call better.
oh, I wish they would market. Now you have to pay extra for everything. If you want to you want to pick your own seat, that costs more. You want a couple of airlines actually charge for carry-ons. I think it's Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
You look, oh, this is great. Look at this fare. It's great. You go there and you say, oh, you want a carry-on bag? That's $40. Oh, you want to pick your seat? That's $40.
Uh,
And the next thing you know, it's more than some of the other airlines.
That's why I
oh,
fly Southwest. But granted, I'm not flying overseas. So
I used to fly Southwest a lot on business because they would pay for the exclusive line, to be the first on.
yeah.
And now they're moving to assigned seats now, right?
I don't know. I haven't heard that. Stuff like that keeps getting brought up, but then it never happens.
I thought they said they
hmm.
were going to do that.
All right. Back to computer stuff. The UK Information Commissioner's Office warns that while most adults recognize the importance of wiping personal data from old devices, nearly 30% don't know how. And a significant number of young people either don't care or find it too cumbersome. Um, I always tell people, I mean, even I understand that it's in many cases it's hard to do the right way, but all you have to do is take the hard drive out, and that's just 2 or 4 screws, depends on the computer, and take a good hammer and break it. I mean, break it, bend it. But
It's fun to do.
better than that, keep the hard drive. How much room does a hard drive take? Keep it.
Ask Mike. I know Mike has a very concise,
Huh?
well-organized library of old hard drives that he uses to great value, which is great. Good idea.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a matter of protecting your data, your privacy, you whatever you call it, whatever you want. There may be nothing important there,
Hang
but
on, didn't you have to put an extension on your house to keep all those extra hard drives?
come on, yeah,
Oh, he
absolutely. You
has
have to
this
move to a new house. Yeah.
he
Yeah,
has
exactly.
Good morning,
quantum
Or
Nick.
drill. Good morning.
quantum
Or
computing. Quantum computing jumps across
Yeah.
different universes. So what you do is you do your backups into another universe. That's the best
Yes.
way to do it.
I do a lot of that stuff, and I'm willing. I mean, if people want to, they need to do this, and they don't know how to. Bring the computer over. Let me take the hard drive out, and you take it and keep it. No charge.
Or if you
It's
have a drill press,
important.
that's
I do
also
have,
good. No,
yeah.
I'm
That's
serious.
another
That's
way.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a
Yeah,
very pop. If you
yeah.
see like major companies, that's what they do. They'll drill press their drives.
But the thing here, also, Nick, is it's an old computer that you may have put
Mm-hmm.
in storage for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You said,
Sure.
well, and now you want to get rid of it. You don't remember what's on it. It won't come up, whatever. Keep the drive. Put it in a drawer. I mean, how many drives are you going to accumulate in a lifetime? 10?
Realistically, you're getting a new computer every 4 to 6 years,
Yeah.
maybe longer. So no, not many.
So do that, and then you can do, I mean, I put a lot of drives on the counter and just stack them, and then when I see that there are about 10 of them, I'll take them apart, I'll take the magnets out, I'll bend the uh, platters so they can't be straightened out anymore, and I throw them out. I put them outside for the guy that takes and sells the metal and all that. You can do the same thing. You can just to take out a drive from a machine, unless it's a laptop, which can be a problem, but can be a lot easier than a desktop. Also, sometimes. Well,
So let me throw this at you though. This is where this becomes more complicated. If you have a somewhat newer laptop,
yeah,
even within the last 5 years, it probably doesn't have a drive per
right,
se. It doesn't even have an SSD.
right,
It's probably an NVMe.
correct.
And with that, that's easy. You can just snap that thing in
Yeah,
half.
and that looks
Um,
just like a memory module for those of
yeah.
you that,
Mhm.
yeah,
And those are always, I mean, there's probably 6 to 10 screws on the back of a laptop if you have to pull the whole
hmm,
chassis off. And those are even easier to store because
yep,
they're the size of as you noted, a full size memory DIMM.
yeah. And remember, you're taking drives out if they have a good size to them. You can use it as a backup. All
That's
you
also
have
true.
all you have to do is get a USB cable that connects a drive to a USB port, and you can use it to back up stuff.
Mhm.
But don't just throw the computers away with not knowing what's on the drive. That's irresponsible, and you can't blame
Agreed.
anybody later on if something. And the interesting thing is, where's the that story? The guy that didn't do it, um, in where is it? In Wales? Maybe I didn't print it. The guy that had like 8,000 Bitcoin on his
Oh yeah.
drive, and by mistake
Lost it.
it was thrown in the trash. And for the last 8 years or whatever, 10 years, he was trying to get the city to allow him to go dig and take it out. And there was a final decision. Said, no, you can't do it. We don't know where it is, and it's a environmental problem, and blah 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 blah. But here, I mean, don't throw a hard drive away. Keep it. I mean, how much junk do we keep? This is
Amen to that.
Yeah. I mean, you take a little cardboard box or a little plastic box and you put drives. I mean, you could fit 20 hard drives in there, and that's it. So, so what's happening, Nick?
Not much. Nothing much.
How much snow did you have down there?
Nothing.
Just rain?
Yep.
Hmm,
Yeah,
nice.
We had a
a little bit of sleet, but yeah, just rain.
we
I
had
was out
enough
Friday night. It was just rain.
we had enough to make it a mess that first morning, but
Um, there was also an article that I read that Windows 10 is gaining share. I mean, it's minuscule, and Windows 11 is losing some. So like a
What were
pendulum
the
going.
percentages?
Yeah, it was nothing to make a big deal about, but it's interesting.
that means Microsoft will make some good money over their update subscriptions.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. You still have a lot of people that are running Windows 7 that have finally had to hit Windows 10. Um,
yeah. They were saying it
s-
seems like that there's a lot of people that still run 7 and 8.
yeah, I'm curious about how 11 would be losing share though.
I don't know. I mean,
Like, I could see 10 gaining still, but
Because
I mean, I guess it's like saying that so many percent there. If the percentage of 10 goes up, then by default, 11 goes down when you compare. It's not like they lost a number, like if there are 1,000 and
no, that's not the case. You would lose share if you're going from 11 to 10 or 11 to somewhere else. Because if you're going from
no,
7 to 10, 7 loses share, 10 gains. 11 doesn't get affected at all.
I would look at it as if you had 1,000 computers with 10, 100 computers with 11, that's 50% each. And if you now go and you get 10 more computers with 10, now 10 has more than 50% compared to 11. So they didn't lose number of computers, but they lost share. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I get. Yeah, but here's the thing: your share isn't move. If you if your share goes, if you go from 7 to 10, you're not a new user. The number is
correct.
shifting,
Yeah.
so it shouldn't have any impact on 11.
Well, that's what the article that I was reading was saying
Huh?
that, and they were questioning how can you measure it this much. I mean, like I said, it wasn't even by 1%, but it was significant to talk
Hmm.
about it. Um, and talking about 11 and 10 and 7, and so they said the long anticipated year of the Linux desktop
Sure,
could see renewed interest in 2025 as Microsoft planned end of support for Windows 10 approaches.
that's this year.
Yeah, it's this year, the end of this year.
Yeah.
potentially driving users to explore alternatives. With Windows 10 reaching end of support in October 2025, many users will face decisions about upgrading hardware for Windows 11 or considering different operating systems entirely. Linux distributions have evolved to offer increasingly polished desktop experiences with improving hardware compatibility and familiar user interfaces.
Yeah, no, not
Um,
really.
Spence, I know you did quite a few of these.
Quite a few of what?
Installing Linux on older
Oh, I
machines.
did. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. When I donated the machines, that's what I put on it. That's what the Camden Institute does. Is they have their own. They've done their own version of Linux.
Did you do any of this for a customer?
Yes.
And
A
how
couple of
did the
times
customer?
just to revive. Well, all they wanted to use it for was web browsing
I
and
know, but
email.
what kind of feedback did you get?
Oh, it was good until the machine got too old, where it just didn't seem like it was
Oh,
worth it to play with anymore. I
well,
still have one laptop that I keep that's got LXLE on it. But just if for the occasional time I might need to log in to Linux for one reason or another. I've kind of lost my skills there, not playing with it enough.
yeah, I still have not installed Linux on anything. I mean, I'm running Linux machines, but I did not install it, so I can't. I don't have. But I use the command line, not
Right.
the
Yeah.
familiar quote unquote
So
GUI.
I just this subject, I've been considering what I'm going to do with this desktop. This is a Windows 10 Pro that has the eight 8 core processor, FX
Hmm.
processor. I've got 16 gig of memory. I've got SSDs and all kinds of stuff connected to it. And I looked up the other day to see if my system board had an optional um, TDM, and I couldn't find it anywhere to see that it would support it or not, or if it would make a difference. It's not on the supported list of
Hmm.
hardware. So I would
Well,
like to find a free way to just keep 10 running and just let it keep running until the machine dies.
well, what's wrong with that?
Well,
It's
yeah,
end.
it's true. It doesn't.
It's end of life next year. That's the issue.
And I mean,
You don't. I mean, you're. There are
it depends what
practical
you do with it.
reasons.
It depends what you do with the machine.
This is Spence's main driver.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
practicality of using your everyday
yeah,
computer when it's end of life is
yeah.
not it's not something that you should recommend.
Yeah. Well,
And
I'm
they
open.
have they have the Windows 11 installer now that bypasses TPM.
Who has?
It's out there.
Oh, it was always out there,
Oh, but
and
originally
Microsoft,
Microsoft didn't support it.
right? And Microsoft actually did something to prevent it from running.
I don't
After,
think that's the case anymore, though.
okay, well,
Let me check.
Yeah, I mean, uh, the only people they'd be protecting are their partners that build hardware and install their OS. Why would they care if it was on unsupported hardware?
uh,
You're not getting, if you have a problem with the you're not going to get support. But you should at least be able to run the operating system. If it'll work, it works. I
Well, you
mean,
can, yeah, you still can run it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways to install 11 without without TPM.
TPM.
But you won't be. I don't think you can do it in a straight upgrade. I think that's the
Oh
issue
no, you can't upgrade it. I know that.
because you have to.
There's a special bootloader you need to use.
It's not even a special, but it looks like it's just a regedit.
Oh,
It's
really? It's that
one.
simple?
It's literally, yeah. Here, I'll post the article in the chat.
I'll be right back.
It's it's one. You either do a reg edit or you run the Oh, actually, no, this is an upgrade. Or you can run the setup exe with a flag. The flag is allow upgrade windows with unsupported TPM or CPU.
Now, how will that affect performance if you don't have a TPM?
I don't think it will affect performance. It'll affect some of the security features of Windows 11
Oh, yeah, I had,
because that's the whole thing with TPM.
yeah.
That's the whole reason they're pushing it is it adds multiple additional layers of security. But so then that brings the question: what's better to have, Windows 11 without TPM or Windows 10 unsupported? And I think I could say pretty confidently it's the latter.
When I
Rather have
first
Windows 11.
when I first started using the Windows 11 Lenovo laptop, it was a driver that I was using for older hardware. It was not. I mean, I just made it work. It's just, and it was giving me a security issue to say it, and I would keep every time I start the machine up, you have a violation of this security principle and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
so I disabled it. So every time I'd start it up, it it gave me this message. But eventually, it fixed itself. So that bothered me at first because I have some like Adobe 10. I still have Acrobat 10
Sure.
and it works. I'm not going to, I paid for it. I'm not going to buy another version of it. This works.
You're talking about
So
just an Acrobat reader.
no, Acrobat,
No,
full
Acrobat,
Acrobat.
the full.
Oh, Acrobat. Okay.
Yeah, Acrobat. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I have Reader on there also just for casual use. But if I want to edit a document, I have Acrobat 10, which I purchased. So, and what are we up to now? At 20 something? With
Yeah, I have no
full
idea.
Acrobat? It's expensive.
It always was.
If you need it and you can justify it and write it off, it's great. But in my case, well, now that I'm not doing the business anymore, I used to use it every time I created an invoice.
Yeah.
And when I did a lot of presentations, I used that all the time. So
Let's see. Here is a disturbing thing. Chinese state sponsored hackers broke into the U.S. Treasury Department earlier this month and stole documents from its workstations, according to a letter to lawmakers that was provided to Reuters on Monday. The hackers compromised a third party cybersecurity service provider
Nice.
and were able to access unclassified documents, the letter said, calling it a major incident.
they send them a stern letter.
Yeah, but we gotta ban TikTok. Gotta ban TikTok.
Uh, just just amazing the things like that. I mean, come on, cybersecurities. Ah, oh,
I think I'll go out on a limb here and say this is all a giant psyop. We
yeah.
are we are led in directions. We think we're, if we have a certain uh, political affinity, even if you think you're on top of everything, you're not, because there's stuff out there that just does not make it through the filter.
Um,
And you have
it's
bad actors within every movement that are not there for your
let's
benefit.
jump to AI. Oh, before that, I just there last week, uh, Jacob and Yale asked about quantum computers when we were talking computing when we were talking about it. Last week, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said quantum computers won't be very useful for another 20 years, causing stocks in the emerging sector to plunge more than 40% for a total market value loss of over $8 billion. I'd like to
Sounds about
think that
right.
this guy knows what he's talking about, but what'd you say?
I said sounds about right. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of what we talked about last week with Gall.
yeah. It's It's interesting. Some people say, "Oh yeah, here," but okay, AI. Global banks will cut as many as 200,000 jobs in the next 3 to 5 years as artificial intelligence encroaches on tasks currently carried out by human workers, according to Bloomberg Intelligence. AI is coming for your job. 41% of employers intend to downsize their workforce as AI automates certain tasks. That's the important thing, certain tasks. Out of hundreds of large companies surveyed around the world, 77% said they were planning to reskill or upskill their existing workers between 2025 and 2030 to better work alongside AI. But unlike the previous 2023 edition, this year report did not say that most technologies, including AI, were expected to be a net positive for job numbers. So it's not like, okay, yeah, we're going to be able to, they were saying, yeah, we're going to change, but all our employees are going to learn how to do other stuff, and there's not going to be unemployment here. This year, they're saying that there's not going to be a net positive.
Well, just take one small, tiny little sector. That would be the fast food industry.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen what they've done with their not only, and it's I hate that the word AI is being used because really it's not even AI.
Right.
But
It's
look at what all of the fast food and the one that's hitting it, I think the heaviest is McDonald's with their app where
yeah.
you are ordering and choosing your pickup online. You pull up to the drive-through window, you yell out a code or whatever, and then you drive around and pick up your food. The only person you're interfacing with is the individual that's at the um uh whatever you call it,
The checkout.
the window where you're or the kiosk where you're talking to them over the speaker,
Oh,
and then
okay.
where you're literally picking up the food, because when you're buying it on the app, you're paying for it. You're interfacing with literally one, maybe two people max.
Hmm.
I use Chick-fil-A's app all the
Yep.
time, and I used to not, but because I used to, like everybody else in the drive-through, you drive up and you talk to a person, they get your order and you get it and go. Well, Chick-fil-A, if anybody's in the South knows that Chick-fil-A's line wraps around the block. It is so long. And so what they did a few years ago, well maybe 10 years at this point, is that they moved their drive-through so they have 2 lanes and it's like basically in their parking lot. At least the ones around my area. They've all expanded like huge to get a flow of people through quicker. So now instead of going around the whole block, the line will go around like half the block to be more efficient. But last year they changed it to where one line is just with people and then the second line is mobile orders only. And the line was ridiculous again, and I said, "Screw this, I'm downloading the app," because nobody was in the mobile line. Like, you there was no people in that line, you had to have ordered through the app, and so the way it works is I downloaded the app, the menu's all the same or whatever, you place your order, and then you drive up, and there's a QR code in line. You scan the QR code, and it tells Chick-fil-A that, "Oh, the person's here, let's get their order ready," and then I bypassed, like, thousands of people, and even now, people still aren't using the mobile line. I've noticed more people are picking it up, but not nearly as much as people are just doing the drive-through and talking to a person, and that line, like I said, like, literally wraps around the block, it's crazy.
And what it's called, like, they have a name for it. It's called like express drive through or something like
It
that.
Yeah, it's mobile express
Mobile
drive-through.
express drive through. Yeah,
And
that's
I
it.
actually prefer it because because I still had the app, I just never ordered from it beforehand because you get reward points when you use it when you scan the every time you order something from Chick-fil-A, they scan your app and then you get points, and then the points you can turn in for food. But with the mobile order, it does it automatically.
Does it
So
automatically, exactly.
yeah, so I don't know, I like it a lot, and I don't have to talk to anybody, and I bypass a buttload of people.
I've got an
So just
idea
that.
for them. What
So
if they
just one.
create a subscription service? So on Mondays I get this, on Tuesdays I get that, on Wednesdays I get this. And you just pull in at the right time and it's ready.
Uh, Panera's got that.
Yeah,
With
I
they
mean
have like that monthly
yeah.
drink thing where you get it. You can get a free. You get a drink every up to a drink every. You can go like every 3 hours or something like that.
But
Well,
like
that,
you said, what we're talking about is not AI, it's automation.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Is like it's so misleading when you're like, oh, AI is going to take your job, and it's like, no, the app and the computer that they have there is going to take your
just
job, and that's
fa-
not AI.
just
Yeah.
faster computing.
And two, I actually talked to my dad about this. Like 20 years ago, quote unquote AI were taking people's jobs. And what it was and what he was talking about is um uh predictive modeling or something. It's like you give the software a buttload of data and it analyzes it and it brings up patterns in the business or patterns in whatever. And then you make business decisions based upon these patterns or these predictions or whatever it is. He said 30 years ago people used to do that. People would get the spreadsheets and they would go and they would do the math and they would figure it out. And then along came software that did it faster and did it for them, and that's quote unquote like the AI age. It's like something has always come along, especially with computers, and made it faster and more efficient.
Well, SQL changed. That used to be, you had to have people sit there and actually code in a query. You had to know the language of the search. And now you can just say, find all of the contracts that are have these characteristics. Boom, it goes. You just
Yep.
in human language. So that's the machine making very complex queries for you into normal language. So that was what really hit the market first when that happened. For companies you had people that all they did was go over the books, go over the books, go over the books, and they could automate so much of that.
I was just, I mean, as you're talking, I was just thinking, what can I see that falls into this? 20 some years ago, I used to bill everybody through the mail. And I'm thinking now, back then, we used to sit and fold the invoice. There were services that did that, fold,
Mm-hmm.
and but there was also always, and I finally bought one. I think it was $100,
A
a
folding
folder.
machine.
Yeah. So I mean, that can you imagine how many jobs this folding machine took away
But
because
that's
one,
the thing. It's
it's
so it's
it's automation.
yeah, but that's the thing though, and it's like there's this huge and yes, there are elements and features of AI that are taking
Oh yeah,
away
yeah.
jobs at potentially a higher level. But you look at any when did computers really start getting into business? Would that be like the
Eh, In
mid
the
70s?
Late 70s, early 80s, depending on the company.
yeah,
IBM was the early 80s.
So the late 70s into early 80s, I mean, you can look at all of the different jobs.
I'm talking PCs, not mainframes. Yeah.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
okay, so mainframes what?
well, that's in the
Oh,
80s then.
1950s.
Yeah,
The first
but like
Fortran machines that were coming out
sure.
and
So let's
COBOL
just say
machines.
let's say from the beginning of the 70s, whether it was mainframes or into the computer era. I mean, you're talking at what 55 years ago now. Look at all of the jobs that has quote unquote taken away. It it it, it those jobs just
But
transition.
look how many jobs it created.
Well, but that's always the thing. And
Yeah.
that's exactly the point. And
Yeah.
that's what's hard to grasp in real time as it's happening. Because first of all, you didn't need an IT department in the early 1970s. You had a couple of people that dealt with your mainframe text, but that was it. Now you have a Fortune 500 company with 12,000 employees, and you need to have centralized or decentralized IT, hundreds of people potentially
Yes.
dealing with all of your systems and services. So it's just different.
I think a lot of it's bluster because you're a part of a group that your job is being eliminated and you have been doing it for 40 years and you don't want to retrain and you want to just get to retirement and it blows up. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that position, but it's just look at all the technologies that have just disappeared. But with the greatest thing when they first came out in the late 1800s, these things of, oh, these amazing things. I can get gaslight in my house. It's wonderful. It's excellent. And electricity comes along and all the gas pipes are, abandoned because you don't need gas lighting anymore. So did the gas experts retrain on electric? It's like it just happens.
Yeah.
I still use my gas light every so often.
You're you're still going to need people to train the data, curate the data, work, and then here's the thing: actually do something with the data. I mean, yes, AI is great, but you still have to do something with it. I mean, it's not like you're just like, oh, AI, do this thing and it's done. It might make the process of getting from A to B quicker, but you still have to take the ball with B and do something with it.
Did you see
I
the video of the guy who created the AI controlled machine gun?
But yeah, I did
no.
see that,
It
but
it
it
is
was,
it's a parody. It
but
is
is it AI or is
no,
it an
no,
algorithm?
but it's called AI. So a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, oh my God, this is Skynet and all this other
He's
stuff.
talking to it and he
He
says,
talks to it. He says,
shoot.
enemy approaching this within this much of degrees, stagger shots up and down, go.
Yeah,
And it does it, right? It's not
it's not AI.
AI,
It's algorithm.
but that was what they called it.
Yeah,
Because it's a buzzword.
it is. Well, it's
Yeah.
no different
Yeah.
than uh it's not too dissimilar, and this still happens too from the blockchain keyword. That wasn't that long ago when everything was being described as blockchain. Oh, we're going to do this on blockchain, because
Yeah.
because
Blockchain.
Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was exploding.
Yep.
And now everybody's on the AI kick.
So, Nick, I don't
Like,
know.
I use AI every single day, quote unquote AI. I
Mhm.
use Chat GPT every single morning to write the summary for the Carolina Journal News Hour. The task that I am doing while I'm using Chat GPT to do it is not AI. I am feeding it a bunch of inputs and it is summarizing the text. That's not AI.
I used AI this week for work. I um needed it to add a word in front. I was basically refile naming whatever.
Mhm.
And I needed to add a name in front of each file name. So I was like, "Hey, these are the list of strings and characters I have. Put this in front of it." And it did it in like 2 seconds.
But see that same thing with that. That's not AI, because
Yeah.
there's software that I have that does that. It's an algorithm. You gave it all of, see, this is kind of where the differentiator is for me. Katie, you gave it all of the, you told it everything to do from start to finish. It just completed the task really quickly. There was no intelligence in you telling it, do this to this and follow this structure. That's more
Yeah.
that's machine learning more than it's not even machine learning. That is simply following an instruction set that you gave it. There's
Yeah.
no, what's the intelligence that it just did it really quick. You could have manually redone those files.
Yeah, and it would have been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it would have been a huge pain in the ass, but it would not have been an impossible task. AI just did it
Yeah.
immediately, but it's not AI.
How long does it take you to do that, Nick?
To do what?
To fire up the computer, bring ChatGPT, give it the information, and then get the report.
I'm not firing anything up. I just
Well,
open up a tab. I mean,
yeah.
it takes the matter of me typing in my prompt, which is write a summary in sentence. My prompt is this every single weekday morning. Write a summary in sentence
Okay.
form without times, and it
No,
spits it out immediately.
the reason I'm asking is I'm wondering how this will what would happen if you take the same information,
Mhm.
the input, and do it again 5 minutes after you did it the
Oh,
first
you
time.
get a little bit of a different
Okay.
response, but
Yeah.
again, I am giving it just like Katie did with her renaming. I am giving it all of the data. I'm not telling it to extrapolate anything.
Yeah.
I put in my show rundown, which includes the topics I talked about and the guests that I had, and then it turns it into 2 to 3 sentences. So it's not doing any intelligence. I'm just lazy. I can easily do that myself. Just like Katie could have easily renamed her files, but why would she sit there and spend the time to do it?
Right.
Why would
It's
I
not
spend the time to do
productive.
it?
I mean,
No, it's not productive at all.
yeah.
And because it's
Yeah.
not doing any extrapolation, and because it's really not doing anything besides taking a bunch of things and forming them into a sentence, why why do it?
Right. You don't go outside and look for a rock of the right size to come back in and knock a nail into the wall. You get your hammer. That's it. I mean, you're using the tool.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
there is very little quote unquote AI that we are actually dealing with.
I wanted to mention
It's
before we go a a very interesting developing side benefit to all of this computer uh, resource requirements, right? For AI, for crypto mining, whatever, is everybody's gaga over nuclear power again. And it's not
Yep.
getting objected to. Even Greenpeace came out and said, we see the future of this. It's a total shift.
They have no choice.
They have no choice. And that's the reason why money co-opted it, because you needed the power to make money. And if you couldn't do it any other way, you can't get it with wind, you can't get the technologies aren't there. So the whole green movement got stood on its side to go along with this now. But I've been talking about this for 15 years when I first heard about fourth generation reactors. So now every week there are press releases of companies. The one I'm looking at here is called Deep Fission. They're going to build a 2 gigawatt SMRs, small modular reactors. You drill a 35-inch wide hole in the ground down a mile and they bury it in the ground. So it's safe. There's no cooling. There's no containment. And this is coming. This technology is coming, and this is what's going to do it. And why? And it's the kind of thing that both sides can agree on. It's. I'm very encouraged by it.
Well, you've got that element of it, and then you've also got and I know the stats are a little skewed on it right now, but you've also got the EV market share that is blowing up, and it is also the realization has opened up that the practicality of forcing people to drive electric vehicles, which states like California have tried to do without sufficient um, without sufficient power overhead available is not practical. And so that's which, by the
Yep.
way, the GE is making their SMRs in North Carolina. They make them in not Rocky Mount, Rocky Point, right outside of it's in New Hanover County.
Hmm.
At their
Yeah.
it's the GE Hitachi is the
Parent.
company that does
Yeah.
it.
Hitachi is they are one of
Yep.
the world's premier reactor builders.
Yeah,
They've had
and they make them right here in
50 years of
North Carolina.
experience. Yeah. Yep. No,
Yep,
I'm
it's
very encouraged by this. I mean, I didn't like the fact that the first person I really listened to talk about it was Bill Gates. He was an early turnaround to go with it. I still think he's insane, but um, the stuff this guy comes up with, mosquitoes that will bite people and give them a vaccine.
Yeah,
They actually
nuts.
created this. And this is, you got to be insane.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
SMRs are clearly the solution.
Yes.
Until something happens.
No, no, I don't think so. I think
I hope not.
your risk with SMR is incredibly low. I mean,
Oh.
you're not. This is not a lead control rod reactor situation here.
Plus,
That's
they're
not what this is.
looking at new materials like thorium. And thorium is an artificial, doesn't exist. It has to be created. But the benefit is that they can use waste to create it.
Let's
And
not get
thorium,
into the mechanics
yeah,
of this thing.
okay.
I mean,
But it's the technology is evolving, and the ideas they have, the um, no using molten salt as coolant. It's really very cool.
nice. Yeah. In our lifetime, Spence.
Yes, so
Easily.
it's already happening. They've got reactors running.
Okay. All right.
They're not production reactors, but they're running. Yep.
Well, yeah, and the big thing is going to be for the power utilities as they shut off their what were coal plants now are in most of the case are steam plants where they're burning natural gas. The real and because these are SMR small, we're talking about like the footprint of maybe a couple of football fields in terms of all of the infrastructure associated with it. You can build many of these SMR facilities in the footprint of already existing coal and natural gas plants. So you've already got all the infrastructure. Your transmission lines are already there. It's a very, I say simple, but it's a very simple um addition because you don't have to we're not talking 3 Mile Island with huge smokestacks and things like that and containment buildings. Literally 2 football fields on an existing facility, and you shut your steam and your coal down, and you just reroute your transmission lines to the nuclear plant. That's going to be the benefit, and these guys will get on board. They won't. They don't have a choice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it'll open up the opportunity. If they want us all driving electric cars, you'll have a way to charge them.
Yeah.
All right. Here's something that's going to touch some people.
Don't
Microsoft.
touch me.
Microsoft will begin enforcing storage limits on unlicensed OneDrive accounts from January 27th.
Yeah.
Ending a loophole that allowed the organization to retain departed employees' data without cost.
Mm-hmm.
Data from accounts unlicensed for over 93 days will move to recycle bin for another 93 days before permanent deletion, unless under retention policies. Now, archive data retrieval will cost 60 cents per gigabyte plus 0.5. Yeah, that's 5 cents monthly per gigabyte. Organizations must either retrieve data, add licenses, or risk losing access.
I don't think this is going to be that big of a deal
Well, I don't know.
because
I don't
most of the time. So this is so Spence and I. So Spence works for me. We have Office 365. I
Right.
fire Spence. I
Why? What did I do?
Oh,
you
yeah.
you're too
Oh.
high on the AI train. We had to cut you off before you got out of control. It's Office 365 is like $20, $15 a user a month, $8 a user a month, whatever.
Right.
So now I take him and I unlicense his user account, but his data is technically still available. I say technically because the process of actually interfacing with it on a daily basis is not practical realistically. And if I actually needed that data, I would have already copied it. Most of the time, you're just letting it sit there because why not? Microsoft was offering it for free. There was no reason to trash the data because you weren't paying for it, but you weren't using it.
So is this implying that there are people actively taking advantage of this loophole
It's not. No, I think they're not.
No,
There's no.
I
I
don't.
don't think they're taking advantage of it. They're just not deleting it because why the hell would you? You're not paying
So
for
it's
it.
storage that it's just affecting the way the amount of storage that Microsoft has to maintain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going on
I
there.
couldn't think that an IT department would have a person that we keep all these ghost accounts running.
That's exactly what it is. Ghost accounts. You can, and they make tools to easily merge and transition that data over. But the reality is, unless you're getting rid of a super specific niche employee, you probably don't need their data. You don't sure as hell don't need their email unless you think they were scamming the company or doing something like that. Um, Word docs and spreadsheets and all of that. Again, unless they were the only person doing whatever that task is, other people are doing it or already have access to it. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just Microsoft is sitting on probably petabytes of unlicensed OneDrive accounts from employees that have been fired and not worked there for 10 years.
This is just a cleanup.
Yep, absolutely.
Cleanup in
Um,
aisle 1,756,000.
But I love how the article framed it as a loophole. Like you had to do something to get around it. You just simply unlicense the account and the data stays there. I mean, it's really there's not much of a loophole associated with it, at least from what I remember when I was managing large businesses Office 365 accounts. You would just unlicense the user.
Well, why wouldn't it be in the terms and conditions that when you unlicense an account that Microsoft have the right to wipe the data
Yeah, and well,
or within a certain period of time?
they were just choosing not to by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Or nobody paid attention to it.
Yeah.
okay. Anybody ever tried that Amazon Prime try before you buy?
For shoes,
You did?
No.
yeah, I've done it for shoes.
How does it work?
They sent me 3 pairs of shoes. I tried them on. 2 of them I liked. The third one I didn't like. I sent it back.
So did you
And then
had
oh,
you
at
have to
the
pay
end,
for
you
them
have so much
beforehand?
time. If you don't send it back within a certain period of time, you're charged for it.
But did you have to pay for it up front or no?
No.
Okay.
well, they're shutting it down.
Oh,
Yeah,
Damn it.
on January 31st.
I got time. Okay, we're good.
That's when Nick was going to use it.
hurry up, quick.
Why
Yeah.
are they shutting it down completely?
They said they're shutting down Prime Try Before You Buy service on January 31st, according to a notice on the website. The
Let me take a
offering
look.
operated similarly to apparel subscription service like Stitch Fix and
Yep.
Rent the Runway, allowing Prime members to try out apparel-related products and only pay for items they want to keep. So,
So they're
yeah,
just
I mean,
offloading it on somebody else. Basically.
So, yeah. Hmm. I'm curious as to why they're shutting it down. Maybe just massive amounts of fraud.
That is a concern.
That's
because
got to be the only reason.
Shoes that you don't buy don't get sold as new anymore. They have to go to these people that buy up giant
That's
pallets
right,
of
yeah.
stuff from Amazon. To get
Yeah, but
returned.
that's factored into the cost of doing
Yeah.
business.
Oh no,
mean,
I realize. Yeah.
So I'm thinking widespread fraud. I mean, Amazon still deals with this to today, where you have people with fraudulent returns.
Yeah.
You have a broken item. Like I have a broken pair of sunglasses that I already own. I order a new pair on Amazon, put my broken pair in the box, and contact Amazon and say, "What the hell? You've sent me a broken pair of sunglasses."
Yep.
I mean, that still happens hundreds, if not thousands
Oh,
of
I'm
times
sure.
a day on Amazon. Now, obviously, if you do that constantly, they flag your account and boot you. So it's got to be fraud. I thought it was a cool service. You can order up to 6 items at a time, and only pay for what you keep.
I only ever did it for shoes.
Yeah, I
And
don't buy clothes, but maybe once every like 3 years, so it's not really a service
there
service I
happened to
frequent.
be with I have size 14 feet, right?
Big man.
It's hard to find. I used to be able to find them in some stores, not anymore. But so I have a couple of different pairs of shoes that I've gotten over the years that are extremely comfortable and work really well for me. So I actually have one new pair on the shelf in my closet, and I hope they don't ever take them off the market. So,
Yep.
Skechers.
All right. Well, it's that time of day. Anything else anybody wants to add? Comment?
Enjoy the cold.
Complaints?
Yeah. No, I didn't
Oh.
say anything about complaining.
Okay, well, I'll wait for next week. Actually, I won't be here next week. I'll be up in DC.
We
All
live
right.
in interesting times.
So, Nick, did you talk on your show this week about the fact that Facebook will no longer do fact checking because of Trump coming back?
No, that's not a topic I get into on the Carolina Journal News Hour. But starting this Thursday, I'll be doing some of that stuff on my
On your own show.
new show, nickcraig.com. Yeah.
Yep. And do you have a schedule?
Yep.
If people want to watch live,
7:00 weekday mornings.
7:00. So 5 till 6, you're still going to do Carolina. Then it gives you an hour to do your stuff.
The easiest way for most people is just going to be to check out the podcast.
Yeah.
Which will be hopefully available by 9:00 ish in the morning.
Okay.
So yeah, all the info. I've got the full site rolled out now at nickcraig.com, so you can see it. It's in all the podcast apps and everything. So I worked on that this past week. So yeah, check it out.
Nice.
Let her rock and roll. See what happens.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Spence. Thanks, Katie. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner, and always change any same password where you use them. Don't use same password in 2 different sites. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Now, Monday, 5 till 6, Monday through Friday, 5 till 6, Nick does the Carolina Journal News Hour on WBT, 1110 AM and 99.3 FM, and it's on YouTube. And you can listen to the podcast later on. And Nick is starting, like he said, this Thursday.
Yep.
His own show. And just go to nickcraig.com and get all the details. And Nick and Brian also host the Infection Podcast on Twitch, and that's for survival games, gaming news, and some political points on Twitch again. So just go, you can go to infectionpodcast.com and get the info about it over there. Have a great week. Stay warm, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.